This is Jason, Extra Car Parts. And I'm going to say excuse my mess, but I just operate in this manner. I have stuff everywhere. But this video is about the myth of spec racing. And just keep in mind, this is just one toolbox. And I was looking for a black slide for a Briggs & Stratton 206. And it got me thinking when I wanted to start racing the Briggs 206 stuff. And I'm not bagging on Briggs & Stratton or the 206 class or anything else. It just got me thinking about the reason I started to race Briggs & Stratton was because the cost to enter was much lower than shifter. I'm a shifter guy. I love shifters. But to compete at a shifter level, it's a little bit of budget to buy in, but it's also the dedication to go out to the track, be conditioned physically, mentally, be sharp. All classes, you need to practice. But with shifters, it's the next level. And I started thinking about it. And I'm going to ramble in this video because I'm looking for parts. I need to make content, blah, 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 whatever. And this is just a small assortment of Briggs parts. And again, I'm not picking on Briggs. They don't sponsor me. They can. I'll take a check, whatever. But it got me thinking about the myth behind spec racing. And this is not a popular public opinion, but I think behind the scenes, everyone agrees. That's in the industry. So spec racing, the idea is generally targeted at the engines. You can't modify them. You can't change them. You can't tune them. You can't do this. You can't. It's all wrong. It's spec. There's a rule. People say you can do this, you can do that within this framework. And I agree with rules. If you don't have rules, but you have racers, then you might as well just go outlaw and say these are the basic requirements of the class, but other than that, we don't care. But modern day karting on the sprint scene has really been very spec. And again, I'm not picking on anybody that does spec racing. I get a paycheck from a couple of the series because I announce spec racing stuff. Some of it has created some great racing. But when you start dealing with spec racing, please disregard anything I have in the pictures. They're not sponsoring any of these videos. So Hilliard, I like the Hilliard Flame. I run them on my Briggs. Briggs & Stratton, that's the biggest four-stroke engine supplier out there for club-level racing. But this video is really for the new guy. And when you get involved, don't think spec is stock. It's not. Spec is not stock. Spec means you can do what you want within a framework of rules. Stock means you pull it out of the box and you put on and you run it. It's not stock, it's spec. There's a difference. But again, I needed some content. I'm not going to lie. I'm bored out of my fucking mind. Excuse my language. I'm looking for a black slide for a Briggs 206 carburetor, non-Walbro. And got me thinking about the whole spec thing. I've been wanting to do this video for a while. And again, this is for the new guy. If you get into karting, I target the recreational karter. If you want to join the tent and have pretty body work and pretty suits and pretty jackets, you tell me what your zip code is and I will put you in touch with a company or a kart shop that is going to give you the best value for your money. It's not going to be cheap, but they will give you a great value for your dollar. They run professional operations. This video is for the brand new guy getting into karting thinking, oh, I'm going to do a spec class, which is stock, etc. A perfect example in Spec 206 silencer. It has a part number and everything on it. Scroll through. The part number is going to be right there. Boom. So in spec racing, what you're going to have is an engine builder. And I'm not going to shit on the engine builders because for years I worked for Sweetech Racing. You're going to have engine builders. And you know who the biggest people are when it comes to testing and tuning and super tweaking? The customers. A lot of the times, not even the engine builders or the chassis. It's the customers. They're going to buy, I got 4 because that was the box sitting next to me. 4 mufflers, right? In spec racing, you run all of them. You dyno them. You track test them. You pick the best for your team. You set them aside. You sell the rest off. That's fine. That's spec racing. But I can guarantee you, those two are not going to run the same. I can't tell you why or why not. That's not what this video is about. They're going to run different. In a Briggs 206, the difference is going to be very minute. It's going to be small, right? So, you don't care. Throttle, cable, caps, non-tech item. Caps, non-tech item. Springs, weights for the Hilliard clutch, right? You have different weights, you have different springs, you have different tensions. You can adjust the stall speed. You can adjust the rate that the clutch shoes spring out. That is not stock. That is spec. So you're going to have a guy that's going to go super tweak, go out to the track. He's going to spend 8 hours at the track testing stall speeds, testing gear ratios to the stall speeds. Okay? That's spec racing. It is fine. It's part of a rule structure. But you're going to have somebody that's going to outspend you. Okay? What else is there? Circlips, kind of non-tech. Bearings. That's questionable. Could you have the bearings treated? Probably. Not probably. You can. You can have those treated. Could it be techable? Probably not. Is there an advantage? I don't know. If you're dealing with 1%, 10%, 20% advantage, that's up to you. If you don't know what the alignment on your cart is, then no. Blueprinting your bearings isn't a fucking advantage because you don't even know if your cart's running straight or not. That's my own opinion. Push rods. Stock, spec, doesn't matter. You're going to have super tweakers out there, whether they're engine builders or privateers, testing different push rods. Are they going to coat them, cryo them, blah, blah, blah? You have some guy with a budget that can cryo 100 push rods. He's probably going to do it. Is there an advantage? Probably. Is it going to make the difference between you driving around in 30th and that guy winning? Probably not, because you still don't know the alignment on your cart. Push rods. Spec versus stock. Lifters. Again, this is a rambling video because I'm looking for one specific part, and it got me thinking about spec racing versus stock versus blueprinted. I'm actually a big proponent of classes that are just kind of more open because that allows a reputable or professional engine builder to go into an engine, find the discrepancies that kind of suck, and even it out. And are there still advantages? Absolutely. Somebody with a big wad of cash is always going to have an advantage because this is racing. But I don't care if this is swimming. I don't care if this is baseball. I don't care if this is football. The people that put in the most effort are going to end up on top. And the reason I say that is in baseball, you can send your kid to a clinic. In swimming, you can send your kid to a clinic. You can have one-on-one coaches. You could have your kid in the pool for 12 hours a day, swimming their ass off, perfecting that stroke. Racing is no different. If you have money, you have the resources to put the time and effort in. They earn the money. Let them spend it how they want to. But intake valves or exhaust valve, I don't know. That's an exhaust valve. Again, I'm rambling. I probably should know. I sell the stuff, but I'm not really paying attention. Would a super tweaker run 20 of those through one engine and see which valve is best? Probably. Is there a huge advantage at the end of the day in a 206 class? Probably not. If you take 10 or 20 of those little tiny items and add them together, and it becomes a 5 or 10% increase in power, is that an advantage? Probably. Let's see, bolts. If you're an airline mechanic, yeah, that might be an advantage if you're measuring the stretch and all that bullshit. I'm not. I'm a go-kart mechanic. Gaskets, yeah, you could probably sit there and measure the different thicknesses of gaskets. But if the people that do the rule books paid attention and did all that stuff, then they should actually be specifying stuff that's kind of independent of gaskets and other variables. But spec versus stock. What else do I got here? I'm actually using this to, I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking for a black slide for a 206 carb. Exhaust valve. We already talked about that. Gaskets. We just talked about that. Thicknesses, blah, blah, blah. Intake valve. Spec versus stock. I'm rambling. My daughter's standing behind me. She just got back from school. She goes, "What are you doing? No one's going to watch your video." Head plate. Is there an advantage there? Maybe. I don't know. Super tweaker will find out. But you kind of get the point. You go through a box, and the reason I have all these parts is originally my dad and I, we were going to run Briggs 206 out at the local club level, primarily Blue Max Kart Club, Dixon Kart Club, Prairie City. Those are the tracks for Briggs and Stratton here in Northern California. I was thinking about doing some regional racing as well. Spark plugs, these are pretty fucking cool. Can you see if there's an advantage there? Probably. These are probably outdated and illegal now because they keep changing the rules. That's the other thing too. When you start doing spec racing and somebody says, "Oh, this batch of spark plugs has 0.0001% performance advantage over that batch that I just threw on the ground." Now the rule makers have to go, "Oh, okay, well now we can't run that spark plug. Let's spec a whole different spark plug so everybody's the same." Is there really a big advantage? Yeah, for the guys at the front that are super tweaking and spending a bunch of time at the track and testing everything. But I guarantee you, that guy at the track 10 times a week, I know there's only 7 days in a week, but for the point of this video, 10 times a week, right? Is he running a 3-year-old chain on his cart? No fucking way. Excuse my language. That chain's new every other session. Why? Because he understands a used chain loses power. Ask any engine builder. If your engine builder doesn't agree with you, I'm either dead wrong and I'm not. Change engine builders. But chassis alignment, seat placement, how free is your axle? Axle bearings, how new is your chain? All of this stuff. There's more power lost in a go-kart than most people will ever gain by super tweaking on just the engine. And I could be wrong. I'm probably not. I've been around it for a couple of days. But you know what I find? The guy's a super tweak on everything. I saw a thread a couple of weeks ago about some guy complaining about the word's not coming to my mind. the play between the steering shaft and the plastic bushing in the go-kart. And he thought it was going to be a major deal. And he was going to shut his program down because there's like 5 thou too much play in my steering shaft bushing that's plastic. Hey, buddy, if you over tighten the bolt that runs through the steering shaft support, it's going to tighten up on you anyway. It's not 3 seconds of a lap. So, like I said, I'm on a rant. I had to find some content. I'm looking for a part. Hey, guess what? I haven't found yet. That stupid part. But it really, don't laugh. You're going to make me laugh in the video. My daughter's in the background. Hey, go check out NorCal Carter's, by the way. Like 5 years ago, I did a video on how to mount and dismount tires with your bare hands. And my camera person was my daughter. And then she started commentating. And that got more likes and hits and comments with her comments than my actual video. And now she's in the background now just laughing at me. Adjuster rocker arm. Is there an advantage there? You know what? If I was a super tweaker, I'm probably going to have that cryoed or send it off to some friction reduction process or polished. I'm probably going to do that. But I'm a broke go-kart shop owner, so I'm not going to do it. Is there an advantage? I probably can't measure it. But again, you take 10 things, add them together. There might be an advantage. What else do we got in here? Still no black slides. Still rambling. A float needle. What the hell? How much stuff did I buy? This is the problem when you have ADHD. I'm going to go race. I'm going to go do the best I can. Bolts. Those are just spare bolts. And you decide, oh, I'm going to go test this. I'm going to go test that. I'm going to go test that. I do like spare parts, though. Anyone see a black... Oh, almost thought that was a black slide, but that's a black hose out of the valve cap. Who cares? Okay. That's my live video for the day. Ooh, I do need a spring. So, that's it. I know, this is not a curated live video. This was just, I'm really bored. I'm looking for parts. I'm waiting for my daughter to get dropped off after school. I need to organize. I mean, just look. Whew. Axles. There's my axle rack.
That's organized that way.
Used tires. My daughter. Do you need Girl Scout cookies? She's your plug for Girl Scout cookies. Engines, 125, 80s, carts, whatever. I need to just really organize. But right this moment, I'm looking for a black slide. That's it. I'm looking for a black slide, and I'm ranting because I'm bored and no one's watching. Sprockets, got them. Don't need them, got them. CRG brake disc, got him. Whatever. Spec racing. Remember, and I don't want people to give up and go, oh, this guy's so depressing. I just want you to understand spec racing versus stock racing. No such thing in racing. Because there's always going to be someone with a bigger budget. But you know what beats a budget in racing? Motivation and desire. I've seen some broke dicks out there put some very competitive race teams up front because they outworked, they out-hustled, they out-motivated the guys with the big bucks. Having money is an advantage? Absolutely. If I had more money, I'd have a motorhome. My daughter would be swimming a lot more. I'd have a pool in our backyard so she could do Olympic laps. Right? That's money. But does that mean instant success? No. Hard work, dedication, focus on a goal, that's what it's going to take. So, again, this video, I'm rambling. So I don't want the new guy to get all disappointed that, oh, Jason from Extra Cart Parts said spec racing is a fallacy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it kind of is, but, open your eyes. When you go to the track, just don't go drive and turn the steering wheel. Go try stuff. Try different gears. Try moving the front of the cart in and out. Adjust the rear width. If you get bold enough, move the seat around. Start making changes. Start trying to find that stuff. Look around the pits and see what everyone's doing. Look at the guys that are successful. Are they showing up with a big money wad and just winning? No. You probably don't see how hard they're working. Can they work harder, easier because they have money? Probably. Can they hire people? Probably. Like, all of that is true. But at the end of the day, it's dedication, it's focus, and it's priorities. Quite honestly, it's priorities. People have asked me many times, why don't you work on the weekends at the racetrack? And I let them know. It's like, there's good money at the track on the weekends. But right now, my daughter's a swimmer. So Saturdays, we're out at a swim meet somewhere at a pool. Or she's doing football. In the winter, she's doing football. That's my priority. So for the racers out there, determine what your priority is. Do you really want to do well in racing? Then prioritize it. Put all that effort up front. Do you want to be a spec racer? That's fine. But don't go buy a Briggs & Stratton engine stock out of the box and assume you don't have to practice at all. You show up on race day and you're just going to win. It's not going to happen. Dedication, motivation, focus, desire. And again, spec racing is not stock racing. Peace out.